I cannot stress this enough. If we're going to beat this virus, and we will, we need more medical supplies, a lot more. Consider them like ammunition in World War II. We hear a lot about the need for ventilators and personal protective equipment, PPE, in New York. Governor Cuomo is practically begging FEMA for the former, while frontline healthcare workers are making gowns and masks out of garbage bags. That's not all. We also need lots of little things, like the vials that are used in diagnostic tests, like the cotton swabs that are being shoved up people's noses at drive-through testing sites. Unfortunately, you can't just use Q-tips. We need specialized cotton swabs that are long enough to reach the upper part of the throat. And as it turns out, there are only a couple of American companies in America that can actually make these swabs at scale. One of them is a company called Puritan Medical Group. It's a privately held company. It's producing as many as 1 million swabs per week, and they're currently in talks with the Department of Health and Human Services to possibly make millions more. These medical supply chains are huge. So let's take a closer look with Timothy Templet. He's Puritan Medical's Executive Vice President of Global Sales. We got to get a better understanding of what the heck's happening here. Mr. Templet, welcome to Mad Money.
And thank you very much, Jim.
All right. You're the first person who has come on, I watch every show, and is able, I hope, to explain how supply chain issues make it so I can't turn to Timothy Templet and say, I need 5 million swabs and I need them yesterday. Explain.
The issue that the supply chain has is that most of the government and laboratories are all purchased through distribution. And the distribution channels order the swabs from Puritan, and then we ship them on to the distribution centers, and then they elect to decide where the product goes from there. It is not a direct ship to the necessary labs that are needed to do the testing.
So is that like a Cardinal or a McKesson?
Yes, Cardinal, McKesson, Thermo Fisher, VWR, those would be your typical distributors, yes.
How quickly can you ramp up new lines? I mean, this is something that you've got a good, steady business, and then suddenly out of nowhere, you're supposed to make far more than you can. Can you explain to people why you can't just add 3 million tomorrow to be made?
Well, Puritan has done a great job adding additional swabs, and the reason for that is that now the government has freed up different styles of swabs to be used for the testing. In the beginning, all the swabs that were originally used were nasopharyngeal swabs, which were a flocked fiber swab. That is, the swab does go back in the back of the nasal cavity to pick up the sample. But now today, the government has released different types of swabs for nasal collection, which now has released a lot more millions of swabs into the marketplace.
Well, is that going to hurt Puritan?
No, because Puritan is part of the production of all the different swabs that we make for the COVID-19.
A lot of companies that are similar to yours left this country. They went to China. What's happening to them now? I don't want you to single anybody out, but I think you know exactly what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we're an American manufacturer. We've been in business for 100 years, family owned, and we make the best swab there is in the market, and we're known for that. We supply a lot of the swabs to the point-of-care rapid diagnostic companies that use the swabs for flu and RSV. So we play a very big role in that whole world of swabs for specimen collection.
Do you feel that because of just I'm sure you're working 24/7. Do you think that you're a bottleneck to the testing, or are you guys just full out and producing what the country needs?
I don't believe that we're a bottleneck to the testing. I believe that the way the inventory is shared throughout the country becomes a bottleneck. I believe that there's a lot of swabs used in different tests that maybe are not collecting for the COVID-19. They're collecting for other purposes, which they consume a lot of swabs. Today, the government has freed up a lot of different swabs for the testing, which is now opening up somewhat of the floodgates to supply swabs that are necessary for the test.
I deal with a lot of companies that are on the firing line on this issue right now, producing as much as they can. And a lot of them had already made commitments to China, commitments to Italy, commitments to Spain. What happens, I guess, again, this is up to McKesson and to Cardinal, but I presume that you are agnostic about where it goes. You're giving it to the distributor, but it might not be going to the United States.
I think now, though, Jim, I think a lot of it is going to the United States. We do a lot of business overseas, and we've supplied them for years in different parts of the country and the world, actually. And today, some of those sales now have been curtailed, and we're keeping the product in the United States for the United States people.
Okay, now if I went to your factory in Maine, would I see 3 shifts just nonstop?
You'd see 2 shifts a day, 10 hours a day. And now we are at 7 days a week. We do need a few hours a day to maintain our machines and keep our place fit clean. So we do reserve the 4 hours a day to do that.
Is there another? Can you make an addition? Can you add new space? Can you put more people to work?
Yes, in 4 months' time, we could double our production of flock swabs. We would have to build the machines. All the machines are built here in Guilford, Maine, and all we need to do is have some acknowledgement that investment would be paid back in a short period of time, and we would be busy making the machines to produce the product.
Are you optimistic that one day we will, in this country, anybody who wants to get a test because they don't feel well will be able to get it?
I believe so, yes.
Really? Because, there are a lot of people who are discouraged, thinking that it's a little bit haphazard right now.
I believe it's haphazard because the supply chain is not very consistent and not providing all the swabs to the communities that need them, because there is some restriction on where the swabs go and the transport media that is somewhat dictated by the large reference labs who do purchase through certain distributors.
Wow. Okay, you've really enlightened me. I think, first of all, a lot of people just said, well, listen, it's a darn Q-tip. This is a specialized piece, right? Where do you get the cotton? Where do you source all your stuff to make it?
All of our raw materials that come from the United States, with the exception of the raw material for the flock fiber. It is not a cotton swab, Jim. It is a flock swab. And that flocking is a very special patented process that we do here in Maine. And we control the raw material, and we send the material out to have it processed to create the flock material. And today we have over a 3-year supply of the material itself.
Wow. Well, I got to tell you, this is fascinating. You're the first person who's really kind of indicated it's just not a switch. You can't flick a switch and suddenly everybody in the country has enough swabs that are specialized and are not cotton. I mean, I thought that they were. They're not.
No, they're not cotton. Today, the major swab today is a flocked swab. It is a foam swab, and it is a spun polyester swab. And the foam and the spun polyester swabs have just been approved by the FDA to be used for nasal collection, not the nasopharyngeal collection. So the government is loosening up the area in which the specimen is taken, okay, plus the material the swab is made out of. It has to be a synthetic material.
Wow.
It cannot be cotton.
Wow.
Not a cotton swab.
Okay, look, you just explained. It's been bugging me. Now I understand. There's just so much about this thing. It's nuanced. It's not black and white. And you have really, sir, helped to explain it to America. And I really thank you, because I know you are doing everything you can to get as many of these out. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. And I will say that I appreciate every day the 350 employees that come and work all day long for us. And they're very proud to be an American company and be part of this supply chain to help the United States and the world.
I want to thank you so much, sir. That's Timothy Templet. He's the Executive Vice President of Global Sales at Puritan Medical Products. I hope you learn like I do, because these are things that I know are disturbing Americans, and maybe it's wrong to be disturbed because some people are giving it all they got. Mad Money's back after the break.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.